What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Chris, man. We are here at the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. It is Thursday, March 17th, 2022. It's St. Patrick's Day, baby. So, yes, obviously, everybody got my green on. Although you see the black hoodie, I got the green shirt underneath. And I got a special guest coming on. Her name is Jaymee Sires. Now, she was one of my personal favorites as far as sports anchors, along with Scott Van Pelt, along with Stuart Scott, as well as Phil Duncan that's still there. But she was a ESPN sports anchor. She's also been in sports for about 15 plus years, working at different stations as a sports reporter and anchor. And now she's freelance, and she also contributes to the Food Network and makes some absolutely tremendous uh, dishes that I am definitely going to get the 411 on because I want to know what's some of her favorite dishes. Want to talk to her about her why in media, her school of choice, and ask her some fun questions. So, without any further ado, I bring to you Miss Jaymee Sire. Jaymee, how you doing? Ooh,
I gotta unmute myself. Can you hear me?
got you. Now I hear you. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Just want to say thank you for
Of
hopping on my
course.
podcast. I really do appreciate it. Definitely have been one of my favorites as far as being in the sports game. And I know obviously you transitioned now to the Food Network and doing freelance. So, and we'll get into that. That's for sure. But first, I want to ask you about your health because I know you're dealing with a back problem. So I know. So I want to ask you, how are you doing? And then pandemic wise, how are you and your family doing?
well, thank you so much for asking and for having me. Yeah, my back's okay. It's just, it's one of those things you get old and sometimes you just wake up in the morning and your back hurts. So, no, today's much better. And pandemic wise, yeah, we're hanging in there. My partner and I had COVID over Christmas. So, but we are healthy now, and yeah, New York's opening up, and spring's almost here.
Got you, got you. So let me give you a little bit of background on why I wanted to talk to you before I start peppering you with all these questions that I have.
Okay.
So basically, I'm a sports journalist
Okay.
out here in Minnesota. I
Hmm.
love covering sports, love doing that, and I know that you were in sports for about 15 plus years, and I know
Hmm.
you've been in the media game. Like I said, you've always been one of my favorites. I was really intrigued to talk to you because you make some really good dishes as far as food goes, and anybody that follows you knows that you are definitely a foodie, and you definitely love eating all kind of foods and making all kind of foods. They look delicious, and you've also contributed to the Food Network as well. And now I believe you're doing freelance, and you have a podcast of your own, if I'm not mistaken. Um, so I wanted to just reach out and talk to you because one, I love talking to people in different genres. I love talking to people that have knowledge of being in sports. I love connecting with people as well and just finding out their why of why they wanted to do this. And
Hmm.
also got some fun questions in here too. So get to know you
Okay.
questions as well. So I love it. So that's why I wanted to reach out to you. And I'm so happy that you replied for sure.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
No doubt, no doubt. So the first question that I have is, what was some of your aspirations, maybe inspirations growing up, and what gravitated you towards a career being in sports slash media?
That's a good question. Growing up, and especially, once I hit high school, I was very involved in theater and drama. I also worked on the student newspaper, the yearbook, so kind of, some journalism as well. And I don't know. I think I just realized, pursuing acting was probably not in the cards for me. I really enjoyed performing.
Yeah,
Um, but I knew how hard it is to really make it in that business. And I also was very interested in journalism and reporting. So I kind of decided that being a reporter would be a nice mix of all of those things that I enjoyed doing in high school. Um, and initially, I wanted to be a news reporter, and it wasn't until I think a couple years into college, I I just decided that, sports would be more fun. um, I had done a couple internships back in my hometown, and like they were really great about just kind of throwing me into things and sending me out on stories. And I quickly realized I didn't really enjoy, covering breaking news or fires or, even deaths.
Yeah,
And I just didn't like the all the negative stuff. So
right.
I don't know. Sports seemed like a more entertaining path to go. Still doing the reporting and the journalism, but getting to do it in a different way, because at the end of the day, my favorite thing is just to tell people's stories. So you still get to do that in sports, certainly, and someone's always winning, so someone's always in a good mood, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. I really do. Fun fact here. So I know that you come from Great Falls, Montana. That's where
Yes.
you were born. And the fun fact is, I used to do lottery for the state of Montana for 6 years.
Oh, really?
I did. I did. I don't know if you ever heard of a place called Intralot, but
I've only heard of it. Yeah.
yeah. So that was my company prior to jumping into this field of being a sports reporter. I used to do the state of Montana and the Big Sky bonus and the Montana Cash. I used to do
That's so
all those.
funny.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So I did that for 6 years prior to coming back. And then the second um, fun fact is I did theater as well.
Okay.
I was a musical buff, so I really love musicals like
Nice.
Hairspray, Rent, Annie, all that. So I really love
Yeah.
that. My favorite musical though is Hairspray, but my
Okay.
second one is Wicked.
Is what?
Wicked,
Oh, I love Wicked. Yes.
yes, Wicked, yes. And
Awesome.
got a chance to see Hamilton about a year and a half ago. Thought that was great. So yeah, I'm
Amazing.
a huge musical guy. I really
Yeah.
love that. I really love
I love that. Yeah, I got to see Hamilton. I was actually lucky enough to see it twice with pretty much the original cast. So I
it.
feel
Oh
very
wow,
lucky to have experienced that twice in New York City. So yes, I'm
absolutely.
right there with you on the musicals for sure.
That is my goal because I've never been to New York City.
Hmm.
So my goal is to see something on Broadway. That is my
Yeah.
goal, and I'm planning a trip this summer to New York City
Okay.
because I have a couple of friends that live out there. So I'm definitely planning a trip to do that for sure.
Awesome. You definitely should. Yeah. And get some tickets, but also, try your hand at the lotteries while you're here. I think I've won at least one lottery, and I've had
Ooh,
friends that have won to get to go to the, big shows that are usually hundreds of dollars to go, and
yeah,
a lot of times the lottery you can go for like 40 bucks or something like that. So
got you. Okay, I like that, Jaymee. I do. Now you are a Coug alum.
I
You went to
am, yes.
Washington State University. I've been doing my research, as you can
Yeah,
tell.
yeah, you did your homework. I'm impressed.
Yes, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So I want to know, were there any other schools that could have persuaded you from going to Washington State?
I definitely looked at a lot of different programs. My mom and I kind of did a couple of road trips, or if she was traveling somewhere, I would maybe tag along and check out a campus wherever she was going. So I definitely looked at other places like Oregon and
Hmm,
Minnesota. I had a friend that was a little bit older than me that went to Marquette. I didn't actually like visit there, but I was definitely looking into it. I don't know, when I visited Washington State, I went there obviously knowing that they had a really good communications program, a great broadcasting program. And then when I got there on campus, I immediately fell in love with the campus, and I really liked the fact that I was going away for college, but still a 7-hour drive, which is not close. But if I was
right.
really gonna, getting homesick or something like that, I knew that I could easily, get home if I had to. But yeah, I'm so glad that I made that decision, because yes, they have an amazing communications program, great professors, really gives you a lot of opportunity to get involved, in television and broadcasting even before you hit your upper level classes.
Yeah,
And then aside from that, it was just a fun place to go to school. It's a really small town, so the college is really the town. It is a true college town.
hmm,
And even though the sports teams weren't super great when I was there, it was still such a fun environment to go to the football games and just have that sense of community with your fellow students and fans. And I think those experiences were really what kind of persuaded me to switch directions and go more for sports instead of news, just because I kind of got bit by the sports bug there. I always played sports growing up,
Mm.
even in a high school and that kind of thing, but had never really considered it until I went to Washington State.
What sports did you play in high school?
Um, I mean, when I say I played them in high school, I played through like my freshman year, so I wasn't like good enough to keep playing. But
Right, right.
no, I played basketball, and I mean basketball was always like my first love for sure. I played basketball and volleyball. I tried to, I tried out for the tennis team. I wasn't very good. I was on the team technically, but
Okay, okay.
I think they took everybody that tried out. So but no, and then I kind of pursued more of the theater and newspaper and yearbook route, as I mentioned, but then also skied. There was a nearby little ski hill. We didn't have that as like a competitive sport at school, but
Right.
definitely did a lot of that on the weekends for sure.
Okay, I like that. So once again, I just spoke to somebody who's also a Cougar alum
Okay.
and went to the school. I think 2 of the years that you were there. So she went from 2000 to 2004, and I know
Okay.
you went from 98 to 02.
Yep.
And she was telling me about the school as well. And I told her that I was like, I didn't know how long or how far Spokane was from y'all school.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why I said that is because I plan on going to Hoop Fest.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, this summer.
Nice.
So
That's awesome. Yeah, it was funny because like, I never went while I was going to school there. I always heard about it because I just would always go home for the summers. But while I was at ESPN, Sports Center on the weekends, like kind of did a little tour where they would kind of travel around for different random events in the summertime.
yeah,
And I actually got to go broadcast from Hoop Fest. So my very first Hoop Fest experience was covering it for ESPN. So that was kind of fun.
yeah, I'm definitely
Are
excited
you going to
because
play?
I'm maybe a competition, maybe like a free throw, but I don't know about the 3-on-3.
Yeah,
I
it's
think you guys probably
intense.
wipe me off
And it
the
can be
wipe me off.
hot too. It was really hot when we were there for ESPN. It was quite
Yeah, a
toasty.
buddy of mine that I had on the same platform, Tate Kelly is his name. He went to University of Gonzaga, and he told me about it. He was like, "Hey man, you should definitely go out to Hoop Fest." And we've been staying in touch. And then I kind of just researched on Hoop Fest, and I'm like, "Well, damn, this look kind of fly. I think I might
Yeah.
have to check this out because I love basketball. That's my favorite sport. So why not?" So I'm just in love with the state of Washington because Seattle looks so beautiful. Everything looks beautiful out there, and I've never been to the state of Washington.
Yeah, you got to do it. That's
Oh,
awesome. You'll have a great time.
thank you. I appreciate that, Jaymee. Also, before I get to this next question, I got to ask you about Montana. There's something I've heard about in the winter times where you got these really hot jacuzzis, or like there's like something called like hot springs or something like that, or are you
Oh, yeah, there's a couple of different spots for hot spring, like natural hot springs.
okay? So those are real. Those are real in
Yeah,
Montana.
those are
Oh, okay.
real. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, there's a couple different spots. There's this one place that we used to go growing up. It was called like White Sulphur Springs. And
Mm,
the only thing about that one is it's sulfur, which like tends to smell like
mm,
rotten eggs.
right.
So I always remembered, if we went there, you would smell like sulfur for a couple days after your visit. But there's other places that have hot springs that aren't necessarily the sulfur variety.
Yeah,
But
I got a couple cats out there in Montana. Obviously, working from Atlanta, I was doing
mm-hmm.
the state of Montana for the lottery.
Okay.
So my thing was a lot of people would call in, and then obviously with the lottery people, I made a lot of friends out there working with their lottery. So they would tell me about this hot spring stuff, and I'm like, hot springs, what the hell is that? It's like these real hot jacuzzis that you get into, and they feel good. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
They've got
And you
some
talking about
cool
getting it in the
ones. They got some cool ones in Costa Rica too, if you ever make it down that way.
oh well, yeah, Jaymee, that's on definitely the bucket list for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, I want to ask you some favorite things.
Okay.
Okay, and based upon these questions, you just give me the 411 off the rip on some of your
Okay.
favorite things.
Okay, cool.
Here we go. Favorite music genre.
Ah, wow. Favorite music. I mean, I kind of like a little bit of everything, but I think like my go-to is like 90s hip hop.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah, I don't do Pandora as much anymore because we're more Spotify these days, but there used to be this, probably is still there. There's this station on Pandora called Hip Hop Barbecue, and it's just
Oh,
a
it's still
great
there. It's
it's
still
a
there.
great station. I love
Mhm.
it. I mean, it's kind of like the same songs after a while, but
Right.
it's a great thing to throw on at a barbecue or a party for sure.
Okay, so Jaymee, let me ask you: when you riding down the or taking the subway or walking down the streets of New York City, what's that one song that comes on that's a rap song that you know every word to that you got to start rapping to?
Oh gosh, I don't know about that. You don't want to hear me rap for sure. Also, I'm so terrible. I always forget to bring my headphones. Like, so I, like, I know most people, yeah, are like listening to music while they take the subway or walk around. I always forget. But if I'm walking around with my boyfriend Justin,
Yeah.
we always like to share our like AirPods so we can both be listening to the same thing. So we just kind of have the same soundtrack as we walk around New York City. But when we do that, we actually really like listening to I don't even know what you would call it. It's like kind of jazz, but like big band, like just like
Oh,
really
okay.
upbeat, like horns. It's just like the best music to walk around to because it just puts you in a good mood and
Yeah.
everything feels like a movie as you're like watching other people.
Got you. I
So
like that. That's what's
yeah.
up. That's pretty cool. Favorite movie genre.
Oh, favorite movie genre. I don't know if I have a favorite. I'm not a huge like horror movie fan,
I'm not
but
either.
yeah, but I'll watch pretty much anything else for sure.
Okay. Okay. I like that. Favorite meal, and I know this one's gonna be a little difficult. Favorite meal you like to cook.
That I like to cook, like on a
Mm-hmm.
regular basis or just like a special occasion type thing.
Either or. It can be
Either
either or.
or. I mean, I love to cook like a really like meaty ragu that's
Ooh.
braised for several hours, so something like a wild boar or oxtail or something a little bit interesting, and has a lot of good fat and flavor. Really needs to be like cooked for several hours and kind of turn that into a sauce with pasta, fresh pasta if I'm feeling super ambitious. Otherwise, I just buy it. But that's definitely more of like I don't make that super often. It's more if somebody's coming over for dinner or something like that. But like on a regular basis, I mean, definitely like make a lot of chicken thighs at home and
Mm.
in different preparations, but it's always the easiest. I always have them in the freezer, and it's really hard to mess them up. So
Yeah, before I jump off this thing or obviously get done with it, I'm gonna have to get some recipes from you. At least a couple of different recipes. That's some
sure,
of your
yeah,
favorites. Cause
absolutely. I have a really I mean I have a food blog. I haven't updated it as much recently. Just been busy with other things, but it's a pretty good library of recipes on there. I have a fried chicken recipe on there. I should have said that too. I love making fried chicken. I mean I love eating fried chicken just in general. I try not to make it too often because
right,
obviously
right.
it's not super healthy. But I love like a super crunchy, crispy fried
Mm.
chicken.
I do too. Put some sweet baby rays on that, and it's
Mm.
all well for me. Put some sweet baby rays, and I'm with it. So I love that for sure.
Love
Okay,
it.
two more favorites.
Okay.
Favorite place you ever traveled to?
Ooh, there's so many, but I would probably say probably South Africa. I took a trip there with a girlfriend. I don't know, it's probably 6 or 7 years ago at this point. And it was just a magical trip. We did Cape Town for 6 days and
Yeah.
kind of did all the things there, ate some amazing food, went up to the top of Table Mountain, went to wine country. um we even went like shark cage diving,
Oh,
and then we spent a couple days on safari up in Kruger National Park. So that trip just overall was really life changing for me. But I also really love to travel with my partner, my boyfriend Justin. So favorite place that we've been together, I think we would probably be this trip to Mexico. We took a couple of years ago where
okay.
we did Mexico City, and then we went to Baja and did this place called Todos Santos, which is about an hour outside of Cabo. And you know, another just like magical little town. That we to the point where we considered moving there after we had visited, which still might happen someday. But no, I'd say those two. I love Mexico. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
there's so much more to just like all the resorts that a lot of people go to all the time. But we recently just went to a little island called Holbox, which was pretty special as well. So that was like three answers to your question,
No,
but
that's dope that you've been around like that though. That's what's up. I
yeah,
mean,
I've been to like 23 countries so far, I think
ooh,
is my
okay.
my
All
tally
right.
so
I ain't
far.
mad at you. Mexico, I remember going to Cabo San Lucas.
Hmm.
That was like a friend's trip. I can't remember everything that happened, but I do
Sounds about
remember
right.
we had a good time. I do remember I had a
Yeah.
good time. That's for sure. Um, Last of the favorites, favorite alcoholic drink.
Oh, I'd probably have to go with champagne. That's kind of I mean I love or just like any sort of, you know, bubbles, sparkling wine. That's definitely my go-to, I would say. You know, it's great obviously for celebrations, but you know, speaking about fried chicken, there's not a better wine pairing in my opinion than champagne and fried chicken. So,
Mm, okay, I'm gonna
yeah,
keep
so
that in mind, Jamie.
we'll go with bubbles for me.
Okay, all right. I've never had champagne. Never tried it.
Oh man, we got to change that.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, man, and you said fried chicken too. That's two things I love. Come on now.
They go
Okay,
together really well. It's a not a total, you know, usual pairing, but it's a good one.
okay, I like that. From all the experience that you've had being in, the media of working at different stations and doing different things, what have you taken or learned, I should say, from that you now apply to what you do with your job today?
Wow, that's a good question. You know, I think maybe, you know, don't be afraid to fail. You know, I was laid off from my job at ESPN in 2017, and
Yeah.
that was really the first time that you know, I wasn't necessarily fired, but I mean, it felt that way. But yeah, I've never been fired or let go from a job before, and so it was a really scary thing. But you know, I think looking back over the last 5 years, I'm a lot happier doing what I am doing now. I mean, I loved my time there, and I take nothing away from that. But if I hadn't gotten laid off, you know, who knows if I would have pursued, you know, food as heavily as I am doing now. So you know, everything happens for a reason,
It
and you
does.
just figure it out.
I love the fact that you took a negative and turned it into a positive. I mean, obviously, no one likes to get laid off or no one likes
No.
to be relieved of their duties. But at the same time, you kind of took that and said, okay, I can still kind of be in the media sense, but let me do something that makes me happy. Food definitely makes a lot of people happy. I don't know what person ain't happy to eat food, but that's what's up. That's how
Yeah.
I kind of jumped on. I mean, I jumped on as far as what you did with ESPN because you're always one of my favorite anchors, along with Scott
Oh,
Van
thank
Pelt
you.
and Stuart Scott, of course. He's also
Mhm.
one of my favorites. God rest his soul.
Mhm.
But also the food stuff was just like, man, you are making some delicious food. Like, what is going on? I mean, I'm struggling making baked chicken, and you over here, you over here making all these dishes and stuff. Like,
Oh,
this
thank
is
you.
delicious.
I appreciate that.
No,
No,
it's
it's a lot
dope.
of fun.
No problem. No problem. I want to talk to you about mental health and
Okay.
also work-life balance. And the reason
Mhm.
why I want to ask you this question is because it's becoming more prevalent in our society now. That
Sure.
people are talking about it, getting it out in the forefront. Obviously, someone, as you said, it was difficult for you to leave ESPN, but now what you do now, like you said, you have a partner, you have family, you have friends. You also obviously do things, contribute to the Food Network, but you also do, I believe, some freelance stuff as well, and you have your own podcast as well. So
Hmm.
you are dedicated to a lot of different things, but you also need some Jaymee time to yourself as well.
Hmm.
So how do you balance the work life, social life, but also still maintain good mental
It's a struggle most of the time. I mean, I'll definitely say, I not getting up at 3:30 in the morning is certainly
health?
helpful.
Yeah,
That was my shift for my last couple years at ESPN, and I am not a morning person, so I definitely I think I prioritize sleep a lot. I probably get a lot more sleep than most adults my age, I would say. So I think that definitely helps. I've really tried to, work out at least 3 times a week. I think
yeah,
that just gets me in a good mental state, and I feel a little bit better about my body, and especially when I like to eat all the things that I like to eat, like fried chicken and pizza and burgers and all
right.
dumplings and noodles and all the things. So I think, sleep and exercise are really important. And I definitely notice a difference just in my mental state when I'm a little bit better about doing those things. The balance is hard, some weeks it's easy, other weeks I have a million things going on. So
Right.
but just trying my best, I guess, and not I think that the important thing is really not to be too hard on yourself, especially right now. Like we're all going through a lot and we've been through a lot over the last couple of years. So I
Yeah.
think just like giving yourself permission to not be okay all the time is definitely encouraged, because I think the pressure of trying to have it together 24/7 can be a lot. And so I think just go easy on yourself for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No, that's a really great answer, Jamie. It really is. Question that's very important.
Hmm.
It's great to know that you deal with things like that as far as trying to prioritize sleep. Yes, but
Hmm.
waking up early in the morning just sucks ass. Let's just call it for what
Especially at
it is.
3:30 in the middle of a Connecticut winter. That's not
Exactly.
ideal.
And mind you, I'm in Minnesota now, so I'm a
Hmm.
sports reporter, as I told you. So my shift is 2 to 11.
Yeah,
So
that's a pretty normal,
right.
like standard sports shift.
Right, right. Because sports happens at night, and we
Hmm.
write columns, take photos, do what we have to do, get it all done so we can get it out. But at the same time, my mental health was starting to be a little affected because I'm like, man, dating is hard. I mean, it's gonna be very hard to try to date somebody because
Yeah.
don't nobody want IHOP and Denny's all the damn time for breakfast. Going out on breakfast dates, you know what I mean? No,
Yeah.
that's just not realistic. So my mental health was definitely starting to take a toll. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna find somebody in the profession. But at the same time, it's one of those things where I just, just got to keep the faith and just hope and pray. But also some friends too. Prior to me getting to Minnesota, they cut
Hmm.
me off and stopped asking me to hang out when I was in Atlanta.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Because yeah, they did that because I kept saying, "Hey guys, I can't do it. I got deadlines," or "Hey, I got to go cover a game," or
Mm.
I mean, I worked overnight at the lottery, so it's 9 p.m. to 9 a.m.
Oh,
for
wow.
6 years doing that. So I would make time because Jamie, my slogan is make time for the people that are willing to make time for you. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely. Yeah.
that's my slogan in life. Like
I like
there's
that.
there's nobody that should ever say, "Well, I'm too busy to make time." If that
Hmm.
ever anybody ever said that to me, I'd be like, "Okay, thank you, but I have to love you from afar.
Hmm.
We can't be in the inner circle." You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it was one of those things where business people, 8 to 4, 9 to 5, just didn't understand the journalistic schedule, and yeah, but it was just one of those things. So it did affect my mental health while I was there, but it's gotten a lot better because I now work out, so I take my frustration out on the machine.
Yeah, it
And
helps, right? Like it
it does.
definitely, like endorphins, and just like you never regret going afterwards, like maybe on the way there, this morning I had I had signed up
I saw.
for I had signed up
Yeah.
for a workout class on ClassPass yesterday, and then went to this wine dinner. And yeah, I had a few too many glasses probably, and I actually forgot that I had signed up. I woke up at 8 this morning,
Right.
and I was like, wait a minute, did I sign up for a bar class?
Right.
And yeah, I looked at my app. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm getting up. So, but after I went, like I've never gone and thought, wow, well, that I wish I wouldn't have gone. Like I've
Right.
never felt that way. I've always, once you actually get there and do it, you're always happy that you did it. So I think that
Yes.
that's always something to keep in mind. But I know that schedule is super rough. I had it for many years, especially when I was working in San Francisco and covering
Right.
baseball. But yeah, you figure it out. I mean, obviously, I ended up with a lot of friends that were in the business
Yes.
because you can kind of commiserate together. You're all working the same hours.
Right.
But yeah, you'll figure it out. You got lots of time.
Yeah, I'm 6 weeks in, so no doubt, and I also, obviously, I'm a little older, being, three plus decades on this planet. I'm a little bit more older and mature than what somebody would be probably 2021. If I was 2021, I don't think I would be able to handle it as
Yeah,
well. But
no.
now being older like that, I think I'm much
Plus,
more.
winter up there is tough too. But like we're
Woo,
getting more daylight. Spring is on the way,
thank
so
God.
that'll definitely help your mood for sure. Once you've got the nice, sunny days, the longer days. I mean, like in the summer, it's gonna be late until 10 o'clock up
I
there.
love it.
So
I love it.
that'll do wonders for your mental mood.
Absolutely. I appreciate your answer. I do. I really do. Jaymee, I want to do this or that.
Okay.
So this or that is basically I'm gonna throw two things at you, and you just pick one or the other.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Thanksgiving or Christmas?
Ooh, Thanksgiving.
Okay, what's your favorite dish? Is it sides? Is it meat? Is it dessert?
Oh,
What is it?
sides for sure. Unless I'm making something other than turkey, but usually my family is a traditionalist. But I think turkey's not super exciting. So yeah, all of this. I'll take all of the sides.
I'm with you on that. Yeah, my family, we have not had turkey ever. We always make ribs on
I
Thanksgiving.
see. I need to start doing that. Like when during COVID, when it was just Justin and me for Thanksgiving, I did like a roasted duck, and it was so good. And I think yeah, something more interesting than
Yeah,
turkey
switch it
would
up. I
be
love it. I love
would
that.
be
Okay.
ideal. But when I do turkey, get it fresh from the farm, and it does make a lot of difference. It's a lot better, but I still think turkey is pretty boring. So
Yeah, it is. I'm with you there, James. Without question. I like that. Popeyes or KFC?
uh Popeyes.
Okay, I like
Yeah.
that. I like that. Drive-ins or movie theaters?
Ooh, drive-in for sure.
Hey,
I think
now,
those are super
okay.
fun. They're not super common, but I think when you can find one and it's a nice night, it's a lot of fun.
Obviously, it's a romantic thing, no doubt. But you also can do it with a group of friends too. No
Hmm.
question about that. So I love drive-ins over weekends. Plus, get that. You bring your food. You can bring your
I
food
know
with
you can bring it whatever you want. So I
Right.
think it's like a picnic slash
Absolutely.
movie, which is fun.
I love it. I love it. Okay. MJ or LeBron?
MJ, 100%.
Got you. Tom Brady or Peyton Manning?
Oh man, probably it pains me to say it, but Tom Brady.
I know it. It pains me to say it too, Jack. I totally get it. Okay, this is a wacky sport that you would play. Badminton or bowling?
Bowling.
Are you a good bowler?
Not necessarily, but but it's fun. It's a fun thing to do with friends. So
It is. And
it's very
I get
social.
better when I have more alcoholic beverage
Yeah,
in me.
exactly. A little bit looser, right?
Right, right. Yes. Okay. Basketball or football?
Basketball.
You sure?
I know. I was like, I don't know, to play or to watch or I mean, I love college football, but I think because I grew up playing basketball, I'll go with basketball.
Okay, got you. Uh, this is about chicken wing flavors. Okay,
Okay.
barbecue or lemon pepper.
Ooh, I'll probably go lemon pepper.
Okay, dry or wet.
Wet.
Bone in or boneless.
Oh, bone in for sure.
Got you. Got you. Okay.
Boneless aren't actually wings; those are just chicken
See,
nuggets.
see, we were doing good, Jaymee. Now we about to fight. I love it.
No, they're delicious. I just don't think they're. I don't. They're not wings. They're just chicken nuggets or
Yeah,
chicken strips.
I've gotten that answer so many times asking that question on here. And people say, it's just a chicken nugget, Chris. It's not a, I'm like, it's more meat. You cannot
It
go
is.
wrong.
I mean, I literally just ate chicken strips for lunch, so I'm not against it. I just like if I'm gonna order wings at a bar,
Go
I
ahead.
want you got to work for it a little bit.
I understand. I like that. I like that. Okay. Mexico or New York City?
Ooh, I mean that's tough. Like, oh, I mean,
I ask tough questions on
I
here,
know.
Jamie. That's what we do.
I mean, I love New York City so much. There's so much about the city that I love. And hopefully I can continue, living and working here for a while. But yeah, I don't know. I'll say New York for now, but that answer might change. I mean,
Dang.
definitely for some warm weather and tacos and tequila for
Oh my
sure,
God.
Mexico. But
Jamie, you would be an amazing friend to be around. My God, you're naming everything great. My geez.
uh,
I love that. Um, so these next question has to do with music, this or that. Okay.
okay,
So I'm gonna give you two artists. You just pick one.
okay.
Christina Aguilera or Britney Spears.
Britney Spears.
Britney Spears. Okay, I like that. All right, you did good on this or that. You did good. So these next two questions have to do with top four questions. And the first top four question is going to be about yourself.
Okay.
Can you tell me a top four events or things that you have covered or done in your life, or that you want to do, as far as that?
Okay. So you want to know four
Yeah.
things?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, definitely covering the World Series with the San Francisco Giants when I was working in San Francisco. I got to do that twice. So I don't know if
Okay.
that counts as two or just one, but those were really, really special years. And I still have, so many fans still out in San Francisco that love when I post throwbacks. I posted a bunch of old photos once the lockout ended on my Instagram, and
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of fun to kind of
Reminisce.
relive, reminisce, relive some of those moments. So World Series for sure. Little League World Series when I was
Oh
at
yeah.
ESPN, I think was just so unique because you have these kids getting to play the sport they love on a national stage, getting to be interviewed on national television, and
Yeah.
just you are reminded of just the reason we all loved sports to begin with, just like that joy. And I think as they get older and actually get into the major leagues, they sometimes get a little jaded and not as excited to be interviewed by
Right. Right.
reporters. But no, it was always so much fun. Those 2 weeks in August while I was at ESPN. Um, I think, covering, I've gotten to do red carpet show for the James Beard Awards for 2 years. Hopefully maybe that'll come back this year. But, just kind of getting to use all my broadcasting skills, but on, a big food stage was really exciting for me because, that's kind of like the Oscars for the food world. So I
Yeah.
think that was really fun. I'm trying to think of a fourth, or I might just have to use the two World Series as two. I'm trying to think other big events. I mean, I've obviously like had an opportunity and been very lucky to cover a lot of things. I did just do my first Super Bowl, which was kind of funny because I'd worked in sports for so long and actually had never been to one. I didn't actually get to go to the game, but got to do a lot of the events around it. So that was a lot of fun as well. So I'll say that, I guess.
Okay.
Only
Okay.
because I can't think. I'm sure I'll think of like five more once we get off the call.
Right. It always comes to you when you get off. I totally
Mhm.
understand that. Obviously, the first one, I do know a couple of people that I've talked to. I believe you worked at Cron TV, right, in San
No,
Francisco?
I worked at the time it was Comcast Sportsnet Bay Area, so it's a regional sports network that airs all of the Giants games.
Got you.
They have a sister station that does the A's games. They have the Warriors, the Sharks.
Okay.
So I was working for them. It's now called NBC Sports Bay Area, but still same network.
Mm,
Yeah, like a regional sports network. So we
yes.
actually like aired the Giants games. So
Got you. Yes, I do know. I do know a couple of people out there that I keep in touch with. Pretty cool. One of them is Kate Rooney, who I know pretty good, so she's
okay,
a good person.
yep.
But yeah, and she talked to me about San Francisco, and I tell her I'm a Padres fan, so I really don't want to be
Oh,
hearing
okay.
all of that
I
San
used to
Francisco
work in
stuff.
San Diego as well. That was my second job out of school.
Oh,
So
really? Oh, where at?
I was at KFMB,
Okay, got you.
Channel 8.
Yep,
Yeah.
I
Yep.
know.
I
I
was
know exactly.
there for 4 years. So
That's
I actually
awesome.
covered Bruce Bochy in San Diego and then again in San Francisco, which was kind of fun.
I like that. I like that. No, those are some dope things that you've done. No
Hmm.
question. I definitely want to get on that level too eventually, which will be awesome. So yeah, that's pretty cool. The next top four question that I have is about where you live.
Hmm.
Now, I stated I have never been to New York City.
Yep.
I would really love to touch down in New York City, and I'm thinking about doing it this summer. I have a couple of friends that live out there. They would say, "Come on, Chris, come out here." But I want to know from you, Jaymee, what is four things I should do when I put my 10 toes down in the in New York City?
Okay. Well, I think you absolutely have to walk across the Brooklyn Bridge.
Okay,
That's one of my favorite things to do. It's for a number of reasons, it's just so much history. It's a beautiful bridge. And it was one of the last things I got to do with my dad before he passed in 2019. So
oh,
it'll
sorry to hear
always
that.
hold. Oh, thank you. But no, it'll hold a special place in my heart always. But I just think it's like I think just a cool thing to do and a different way to see parts of the city. You definitely have to get some New York pizza for sure. That is definitely on the top four list of things you have to do in New York
Okay,
City. I'll give you a couple scars. Lower East Side is definitely one of my favorites. There's another one called Lit Industry in my neighborhood.
mm,
For New York style pizza, those are two you definitely have to hit up.
okay,
Another thing I think would be really fun and something I like to do is, I mean, my favorite building in the city is Grand Central Terminal. It's just a beautiful, beautiful building. So even just to go in there and like stare at the ceiling and walk around for a little bit. But there's also like a lot of other cool things to do in that building. There's a oyster bar. It's kind of sometimes it's hard to find, but
mm,
I think it's Grand Central Oyster Bar. Just really, really old school spot, a cool place to just go have some oysters or some clam chowder. And then also in that same building is the Campbell apartment, which is an old apartment that's been transformed into like a bar. So another
okay.
a cool place to visit within Grand Central. So I think that's three. Um, I mean, four, I love just like walking like for hours to the city. Central Park definitely
Okay.
could be a stop on that list. But I think walking anywhere, any new city is like the best way to see the city, to really orient yourself to where things are. And you could also, cross a lot of things off your list, but I'll go with those four because they're the first things that came to mind.
No, that's dope. Obviously, I'm a huge pizza person, so pepperoni pizza is my thing. I love that.
Okay.
I love sightseeing, so I definitely would love to walk and see some new things. Obviously, sports is something else. So the Garden, Barclays Center,
Yep.
both of those. Yeah, I definitely would mind
Head up to
seeing
Yankee Stadium.
that.
Yep.
Absolutely, absolutely. When I do touch down in New York City, I'm gonna have to hit you up. So
Okay.
immediately, I'm gonna have to
We'll
do.
go get some pizza. How about
Oh man, that sounds
that?
pretty dope. That's cool. That's what's up. Now I want to talk about your podcast.
Okay.
So when did it start? And then also, what is the the goal of the podcast, or what do you try to do as far as the content you're trying to get out?
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know if it's accurate to call it my podcast. I'm very lucky that Food Network approached me. They
Okay.
wanted to start a podcast. They didn't have one. And so they asked me to host it, which has been so much fun because I think, as you know, doing podcasts, you get more time with people. You get
Yeah.
to sit down with them, even if it's over Zoom, and chat for, have a conversation, which, in television, a lot of times, you don't have the time for that. I
Yeah.
remember at ESPN, even if we get like a really cool guest in, we might only get 5 or 6 minutes with them at the most. And then
Right.
everybody else was maybe like 2 or 3 minutes. So it was just always such short sound bites. So I think being able to really, let the interviews breathe a little bit and have those conversations has been really great. But yeah, they reached out towards the end of 2019. We launched in January of 2020. And I think, we hit the 50 episode mark a few weeks ago. So
Okay.
we're up over 50.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been, we have a great team that works on it. So I'm lucky in that, like, I have a lot of support, people helping to book guests and to help write questions and schedule everything. So a lot of times, I just have to show up and do my thing, and obviously ask follow-up questions as I see fit, but they do a lot of the legwork for me, which is really, really nice. And yeah, I hope we can just keep it going. I, like I said, I've really enjoyed it. It's something that plays, to a lot of my skills. And of course, I love being involved in the Food Network family. So the more of that I can do,
Yeah.
the better in my mind. So we basically just have a different guest each episode. Usually it's somebody on the Food Network or closely tied to the Food Network, but I think we're also thinking about expanding that a little bit just so we don't run out of people to talk to. But no, I am so thankful and grateful to Food Network for, giving me that opportunity. And like I said, I hope it continues.
That's awesome. What's the name of the podcast?
It is called Food Network Obsessed. So definitely geared towards people that are obsessed with Food Network. But I think the way that we structure the interviews, it kind of appeals. It can appeal to anyone as long as you like food. And honestly, even if you don't, because I think a lot of, we talk about food a lot, but it's also about each person's journey and their story, how they got interested in food,
Yeah.
how, they went from that to being on Food Network. And obviously everybody's story is unique and different. So I think having that opportunity to hear those stories is very inspiring.
Yeah.
And then towards the end, we definitely talk more, Food Network programming, but I think the majority of the interview really revolves around that person and what makes them who they are.
Hmm, I like that. Now, how often, and lastly, how often do you guys uh shoot or air a podcast?
Or record. Well,
Yeah.
we tried, I mean, we're pretty consistent. They drop every Friday, new episodes. Every once in a while we'll take a week or two to kind of reset. We took some time off over the holidays, and or sometimes we'll take a week off in between seasons just to help us, get some more interviews banked. But as far as when we record them, it just totally depends on people's schedules. So some weeks we'll record 3 in one week, and some weeks we won't have any. So it just totally depends.
I'm definitely gonna stay tapped in, Jaymee, to that for sure.
Thank
I
you.
gotta check it out. I
Yeah,
do.
give us a nice review, 5 stars, all the good stuff.
Well, listen, you know you're gonna get 5 stars. You
Oh, okay.
5 star already, so it's
Oh,
all good.
thank you.
I want to know what food y'all be talking about because I'm trying to whip some up in my kitchen too. You know what I mean? So
Well,
I
you'll
feel
you'll definitely get some good ideas. We always end with some food talk, and yeah, we have one question that we ask everybody at the end. So I'll let you discover what that is when you listen.
okay. Got you. Got you. The next question is about advice. What advice has been advocated to you or you allocated to someone about being in the media industry that you hold on dearly to? Maybe if you're talking to somebody that's up and coming that wants to be in the media industry, whether it is sports, whether it is food or entertainment or whatever, what advice would you give?
Somebody gave me this advice like a long time ago, and I've definitely given it to people as well. I mean, it's not super like deep or philosophical, but it was that it's and this was kind of in relation to, live shots or shows or, anything that you would do on camera, I guess. And that was, it's never as bad as you think it is, and it's never as good as you think it is. Which is just something to keep in mind, especially, if you have a really disastrous, live shot or something that went over the air. It always feels worse or feels longer than it actually looks.
Right.
You know, and then same thing. Sometimes you'd have like you're like, I really nailed that show. And then you watch it back and you're like, yeah, it was okay. So I think it's just like a good reminder, like never get too high or too low about, any of the stuff you do. Just, tomorrow's a new day and you can just try to be better the next day. So I think that's one of the things I always liked about doing broadcast news is that, it was live. So your
Yeah.
deadline was,
Yeah.
that show every day. And you had a new deadline the next day. So there wasn't a
Yeah.
lot of, taking it home with you, aside from obviously, staying caught up on sports and games and scores and all that. But yeah, I think that for me, that was helpful because I'm much better like last minute.
Absolutely.
I'm good like
Absolutely.
cramming for something rather than doing a long project that takes several months. So
I totally understand that. That's really great advice. Definitely stay level headed, right? And stay humble as you possibly can. And yeah, know your I always like to use this phrase, know your worth. That's one of the
yeah,
phrases that I like
that's
to use.
that's a great one too. Yeah.
Yeah, I love to use that phrase. I say that almost every day to myself. Know your worth, because people sometimes would underestimate you, and then there's also times where you just have to know be confident and know that you can do it. And despite that you'll make mistakes, just do it and learn from it, right? And that basically goes back to being level-headed and also understanding that tomorrow will bring a new challenge as long as you finish today.
Absolutely.
So for sure, I love that.
Yeah, and bet on yourself. I always say that
Absolutely,
too. Yeah.
absolutely. I have one last question, and this is about challenges.
Okay.
Now, obviously, challenges, adversity, hurdles, whatever you want to use, have all hit us in different ways. What is some challenges that you have had to deal with being in this industry? I know we kind of touched up on the ESPN release of you being
Mhm.
laid off, and I know we kind of touched up on the early in the morning 3:30 schedule. But has it been like challenging as far as maybe location, where because ESPN's in Connecticut and New York City, they're right next to each other. It may not been, but you was a West Coast person moving all the
Mhm.
way to the East Coast as well. Has it been challenging as far as gender wise? Maybe being a woman in this industry and people look at you differently, and unfortunately they do in this industry, which I still don't understand. I don't get it,
Mhm.
but they do. But what kind of challenges have you faced?
I mean, all of the above for sure. But no, just to be more specific, certainly being a woman in this industry has its challenges. I think, um, if a woman like makes a mistake, says somebody's name wrong or says the wrong score or,
Right,
something like that. I think it's highly criticized. Whereas a lot of times if a guy did it, it would just be like, oh, he just screwed up, but people
right,
like to really jump on and criticize when it's a female.
right.
I think, being in male locker rooms is always difficult because, you know, that dynamic is hard to navigate. Like there's always going to be guys that are, think they're funny and want to make comments, and
Right.
not really probably realize how uncomfortable it makes you, and also how, the position it puts you in, just in terms of trying to be, a
Do your job.
professional and do your job. So, I definitely dealt with my fair share of that throughout. But on the flip side, I always say, I recognize that it had its advantages sometimes. Sometimes I might have gotten an interview when maybe one of my male colleagues couldn't because I was a girl and I was asking nicely, and sometimes it's hard to say no. So like I think there was a lot of trade off, but I think fortunately, we're getting to a place where there are so many women working in this field and doing excellent jobs at it. And I
Yes.
think ESPN was really great at promoting women. There were several times, that I would anchor Sports Center with another woman. And I don't think, you know, that's always the case at other networks. So I
Oh,
think,
it ain't. I
yeah.
tell you
And
that. It
so,
ain't.
yeah. And I think that's great that they didn't even, I mean, obviously they probably try to keep it, to maybe a male female like dynamic. But if
Right.
somebody calls in sick or people are out on vacation, like they didn't hesitate to match two women on the same show, which I think is really cool. So I've definitely been lucky in terms of having those opportunities and making the best of them. And as far as location, I was lucky. My first job in a small market was in my hometown in Great Falls, so I
Mhm.
lived with my mom. So I was able to save some money there. And I was lucky that my second job was in San Diego and my third job was in San Francisco. So those are pretty great cities.
Yes, it is.
And I never minded moving around for my job. I I now have so many friends across the country and world, just by virtue of moving around and living in new places and being forced to, make new friends. I will say, yeah, moving to Connecticut was probably the toughest out of all of those. Um, there it's especially after living in a place like San Francisco where there's so much culture
Whew.
and so much to do.
Yeah.
I think my saving grace was that it was only a 2-hour drive from New York. So I came down. I came down to New York a lot, like way before I ever moved here. I was here probably once or twice a month on the weekends, crashing on friends' couches and just, craving that, excitement, that culture,
Yeah.
that social activity. So just had to make the best of it. But yeah, that definitely was a tough stuff. I think a lot more people would probably work at ESPN if they didn't have to move to Connecticut.
Nah, I feel
Nothing
it.
against Connecticut. Like it's fine, but just
I mean, but we
I prefer
talking about Bristol though. There
yeah,
ain't a whole lot
yeah.
to do in Bristol
There's
now.
not. I lived in West Hartford where there was a little bit more going on, but it's
Right.
still a small town, and I
Yeah.
I do like living in a big city personally. So there's a lot of
Absolutely.
people that work at ESPN that's perfect for them. They want to live in a smaller town with good schools, have a family, big house. I would just prefer to live in a city and have more things to do.
I feel it. I feel that. I totally have loved this conversation. Love getting to know you. You're amazing, and you're just a wonderful person to talk to.
Oh,
Like
thank
I said,
you.
you've been one of my favorite sports anchors for a while. And what you're doing with the Food Network is pretty cool too. Like I said, I'm gonna tap in on one of those Friday
Please.
podcasts
Yeah.
when you
Let me know
drop.
what you think. Yeah.
I certainly will. I would definitely give you the 411 on that. I am following you on Instagram because
Okay.
that picture was priceless this morning. Uh, and I also have you on LinkedIn. And if you have a Twitter, I will follow you there as well.
Yeah, I
Um,
do. It's
those
just it's just my first name, Jaymee. I got one of the one word Twitter handles. So
one word. Okay, so just like Madonna, Beyonce, just
yeah,
one name.
exactly.
Okay,
Just one name, one name.
okay,
That's
got
all
you.
you need.
Okay. All right, I love it. Those are the three I use to promote
Okay.
my podcast, but also connect with people, keep in touch with people, and then yeah, just be able to connect with people in different ways. I feel like I've learned a lot about you. Traveling 23 different countries, a cool alum.
Yep. Go
Obviously
Cougs.
15 plus years in the game of sports, and then you're doing your Food Network thing. And I am going to check out that blog because I do want a couple of different recipes that you have cooked up. I will certainly check that out. I hope you have it on
Definitely.
maybe in your bio. I can check it out.
Yeah, it should be in there. Otherwise, it's E is for eat.com.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I also put a lot of recipes on my Instagram as well. That's where probably I put a lot of like the more recent ones, but the blog has been going for over 10 years, so there's a lot of stuff on there too.
All right. And like I said, when I do touch down in New York City, I would definitely have to hit you up, Jaymee, because
All right.
it's gonna be a fun time. I can do
Deal.
that. That's for sure. But as I always do to end my podcast, I always ask, is there anything else you would like to add before we conclude?
No, just thanks so much for having me, and keep striving, keep hustling, and you'll get where you want to be.
I appreciate that, Jamie, so much. You enjoy your St. Patty's Day and the weekend, okay?
Thank you.
And
You
we
as
will be in
well.
touch.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
No problem.
Um, did you want? I actually recorded this on my end. Do you want me to send you the file?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Do you have like a Google Drive, or you want me to just drop it in one of my folders and send it to you?
You can just drop it in one.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
All
and
right.
then email it to me.
Sure.
All right, now. Take
All
care.
right. See ya.
Bye.
Bye bye.